everybody, it's Joe Parrott, founder of the Ladies Working Dog Group. Are you feeling stuck with your gun dog training? Trust me, you're not alone, and that's exactly why you need to be here. Every week, we're bringing you the best tips and hacks to make training your gun dog easy peasy. We'll keep it straightforward, no fuss, just actionable guidance that you can put straight to use. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of Found It, Fetched It. This week, Claire, Denia and I are going to go in a different avenue to normal. This week's episode is called What's Been Getting Our Goat. And really, it's a little bit of a mini, funny, but slightly serious rant about the things that we've seen going on social media, which is affecting most of you who are listening to this, and normally affecting you in a bad way or a negative way, or basically just giving you really crappy advice and passing it off as being like perfect. So before we go into our little rant, our mini rant, I'd like to introduce Claire Denia. Claire, how are you today before we get into this?
Morning, Joe. So I'm great, thank you. Other than the fact that we seem to have lost summer before it's even begun. I don't know what you've got, but here today we have got strong winds, driving rain. It is horrendous and it feels like we're back in January. So yeah, the outside weather has taken a slight turn for the worse, and I'm hoping that's really short term because I was so enjoying the sunshine.
You were enjoying the sunshine. I was really enjoying the sunshine in south of France. So when I got off the plane in Bristol, I was like, what on Jesus' earth is this? But also, I think as well, come with this, like Kent is not an area known for being wet as this. It's meant to be the like English Riviera. So to see the amount of wet weather you guys are having it's quite frightening.
Yeah, it's been a real shock, and I don't think I can recall it being like this previously. I'm not a fair weather person or a fair weather trainer or a fair weather handler, but there's a limit to what you can expect, especially the young beginner novice dogs who they're not running long distances yet, and it really can play havoc with their training because the poor handlers don't want to be standing out in the wet and the cold and their dogs shivering away trying to learn this foundational stuff. So I always try and think on days like this, is it fair to the dog and is it fair to the handler? Would they really like this out there right now? And of course, as the dogs get older and more into their gun dog training, they can do more in really bad weather. And the more advanced dogs, it's not a problem. But yeah, this is pretty bad today.
So the weather is one thing getting our goat, but another thing that is getting my goat is who like working cocker, show cocker, field trial cocker, working Labrador, show Labrador. I do understand that we have over time developed lines that show different variances, but in the UK specifically, most of these dogs come under their own same breed standards, don't they?
Yeah, if you look at the Kennel Club breed standards, yes, they do. You haven't got on the Kennel Club breed standard, show cocker standards is this and working cocker standards is this. But through breeding and through selective breeding, yes, we have developed, very different looking and acting dogs in some respects, but in other respects, they're not different.
No, I agree with you. What sort of got my go to this one was somebody, it was like, again, it's always social media. We should stay off it in one way. But I was doom scrolling as you do. And it was like a reel and it said, working cocker, show cocker. Show cocker can come in any colours. And I was like, no, they can't. They come in the same colours as the working cocker comes because it's one breed as far as the Kennel Club is called. And I think the confusion is being caused by people wrapping anything up in a bow as being something unique or different.
I think it's become very fashionable to have something unique and different. I think that's what it is. I think it's quite fashionable. But social media is terrible for it, especially things like people talking about the Merle cocker and people like absolutely going crazy because there's no such thing as Merle in a cocker and things like that. And I think the problem is people are right to bring these things to the attention, but because of how social media works, some people jump on it and like it because they've seen it on social media. So somebody might have the intention of going, we need to tell the world this isn't right about this, but somebody else reads it and goes, oh, that's quite nice, I want to do that. And so social media can be really good and really bad, and sometimes people are trying to get a message across on social media, but somebody else portrays that message as something completely different and start going, oh yeah, that sounds great, a Merle Cocker.
We get loads of questions of people saying, can my show cocker do this training? And it's, in one way, it's heartbreaking because I'm thinking, of course your show cocker can do this. Okay, their line might not have been developed to continually improve upon maybe the strengths you would need if you wanted to field trial, etc. But your gun dog is your gun dog. It can do it. And the other thing that people frustrate me with is the idea that hunting dogs are only working line dogs, because either I'm really messed up in my understanding of evolution, but all these dogs fed themselves before we fed them. So every dog has the capability to hunt. Whether it will want to hunt to the same extent, yes, I would take that on board. But for people to be, I don't know, not swindled, but frustrated, thinking, oh, my show lab can't do this because it's a show lab. Of course it can. Of course it can enjoy a gun dog class.
So yeah, but this is a really good point, Joe. I'm really glad you've mentioned all of that, because yes, obviously you do see differences with the dogs that are being line bred to become X, Y, or Z. But if you really think about it, I have non-gun dog breeds do gun dog training with me, and they can do it very well. So if a non-gun dog breed can do it very well, why can't a show line of a gun dog breed do the job? Now, of course, not all dogs have the same drives, the same motivations, the same sort of desire to do certain aspects of the dogs. But if you really look at it, you're like, hang on a minute, if the collie can go out and do a lovely retrieve and can hunt an area for a blind retrieve, why can't a show cocker do it? Or why can't a show Labrador do it? Okay, they might have slightly different kind of drives and motivation. That doesn't mean they can't do it. But it's a bit like that other one, isn't it? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yes, of course you can, but there might be a limitation on how far you could take it, or it might take a little bit longer because you're dealing with other things within that aspect as well. So it's just considering those things and taking them on board, not just writing a dog off. I've had several show cockers, show Labradors do gun dog training with me, come on my shoot training days, do their kennel club working gun dog certificates. They can do it. They absolutely can do it. But I think you've just got to think the drive might be slightly different. Its desire and want to do the job might be slightly different.
And I think it does come down to desire, because we were in the hospital this week. I was on my MRI scan, and Matt, we went to W. Smith afterwards, because every hospital has one, I think. And he said, oh, do you want me to buy you this laugh? And it was a magazine. It said iPhone for seniors. Because I was just like, Matt. Now, bear in mind, I run a company that's pretty much technology based. Certain things, like on my own iPhone, certain things on a remote control, I'm just like, ah. Oh. And it's not that I couldn't, if I wanted to sit down and work it out completely, it's I have no desire to sit and work it out. It's easier for me to throw the remote at Matt and say, please, will you just get it done? So going back, with any older age dog, it's finding out the how to make them want to do it, isn't it? What would make it fun for them? Because dogs of all ages love fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you can build drives in something that maybe isn't natural for the dog by utilizing something that the dog does naturally enjoy doing. So not all dogs have amazing food drive, but you can make the dog have a better food drive through the way that you use the food, by being more animated with it, by making it more fun. Not all dogs are massively play driven, but you can increase their desire to play by finding out if they have a favorite toy, the way you play with that toy with the dog, the way you move that toy. You can build drives and motivations that aren't necessarily really strong in the dog, but you can use things that they really do value to increase the value of something else as well. So it's just being open-minded and thinking outside the box. And I find it quite sad when people give up on dogs because they're like, oh, and this is the thing that I'm so passionate about this. It's on that thread. But people give up on dogs too early, or the dog doesn't want to do it. And it's like, hang on a minute. No, it's not that the dog doesn't want to do it. It's just that maybe you are not working with that dog in the way that the dog is responding the way you want it to. So you've got to look at the dog's drives, its motivators. What does it value? What does it value as a reward? What does it want to do? And use that to build those drives that you want. We're not all blessed in a situation where we can go, oh, this dog's just not good enough, I'm going to move it on and get another dog in that's going to do it. We have the dogs that we have. And we did a podcast, didn't we? A Square Peg Round Hole. Very important podcast. However, some people take that to the absolute extreme and don't really try to work with the dog that they've got, or try to work out what that dog's desires and drives are and what its motivators are. So it's just being more open-minded to the dog. Not one size fits all, right?
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. And on the same thread, the other thing that I know has been getting all our goats is overachieving puppies on social media. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to call them. They are overachieving puppies, and they literally are puppies who are like minute in their ages, that apparently can do everything in 7 seconds on a video reel, and they deflate people. They literally deflate them, because I know from when Dad was breeding, you have a window with a pup where like you can make them look super clever, right? I can remember we've got a video somewhere of a dog that went on to the London police force, who at 10 weeks old would sit to a whistle in a second, drop his backside. But it was tiny, it learned so fast. We had full access to it 24/7. So we could train it all day if we wanted to, and play with it, have fun with it, and be around it. It wasn't real life scenario for this pup, or for most people. They don't have all day to play with a 10-week-old pup. I can understand how they get the videos, because I've got the videos, but I'm not then showing those videos going, you can achieve this with your dog, because the reality is, as soon as they get a little bit older, a little bit bolder, and we are talking weeks here, not months, they will suddenly become a very different beast. And for people who are watching with a 8-month-old dog standing on the counter, not listening, and they're watching this 9-week-old, 10-week-old puppy doing everything perfectly, it's properly deflating, isn't it? It makes them want to give up before they start.
It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic and totally deflating. And this is why, as a trainer, you know that I share the good, the bad, the ugly of working with my dogs, the mistakes, the things that go wrong, the journey. Because I have to say, when you've got a little puppy, like 8 to 10 weeks old, or even 8 to 12 weeks old, they hang on your every word, and they're food motivated, and they're not really thinking about other things. Their hormones are not kicking in. They're not thinking about boys and girls. They're not thinking about those other things, those other desires that are innate within the dogs. Yes, it looks like they're super cool and really learning fast, and they are. But then when you hit adolescence, or you haven't done them foundations at that tiny age because you didn't know that you could do that, then you get adolescence and all this other stuff's going on in the dog's head, and they're becoming more aware of the environment and other dogs and hormones. And so then people are like, hang on a minute, how come that person's doing that with this 8 to 10-week-old puppy, but I've got a 9-month-old dog that I can't do half of that with? Well, that's the difference. And that's where I think it's so important for trainers to be transparent about the journey, and to be, okay, so this is what I can do with this puppy, because this puppy's really cute, really cool, it's really food motivated at the moment. Right now it's going to do it. But in 6 months' time, it might not look quite like this, because this puppy's going to have other ideas about it, what it wants to do. Why can we not just be honest about that? Why can we not just be, you can teach the puppy this at this age, but it's going to feel like a bit of a roller coaster as the dog goes through adolescence. Let's just be honest and help people.
And that is, I think, what really gets me with this. Like, where do you think in posting this you are helping someone else? When trainers do it, if you genuinely want to help and support, you would say like the things you just said. Don't expect it to stay like this. No, we're going to hit bumps. No, this is going to happen. No, this is going to happen. When you're honest like that and you're vulnerable and you say, I'm working with another animal with its own ideas, we are going to need to take some time to get this where 99.9% of the time we're thinking of on the same page, and that's going to take year, maybe 2 years, maybe a bit longer if they're the longer developing breed. They've got that thing in their head, okay, this is how long this is going to take me. Because it's like somebody going online with, I don't know, a 6-month-old baby and watching them like write a novel on a computer. You'd look at it and you go, okay, that's a little bit freakish for somebody that tiny to be doing that. And we would think like that with humans. But we don't think like that. We look at that pup and we go, oh, we're failing. And you're not failing. Show me the journey, not just the perfect 10 seconds.
Absolutely. I shared a video, I think it was last week, on one of my dog's pages, and it was a huge handler error on my part. I sent her on this blind retrieve. I've been working so hard on rebuilding her confidence on blind retrieves after they got a little bit knocked. And she did this lovely line out on this blind. I sent her to the wrong area. Now, I could have gone, oh, that's not good. I can't post that. It's not perfect. I sent her to the wrong area. I then had to handle her into the correct area. And I thought, do you know what? This happens to everybody at some point in their training. So let's, as a trainer, be honest about that. And then the handlers can breathe a sigh of the relief. They say, oh, it's not just me that makes those mistakes then. No, it's not. We all make those mistakes. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're human beings and we're working with a dog that is another species and doesn't speak the same language of us. So why do we have to hide that? Why do we have to hide that? It's crazy.
And it leads on to one of our other bugbears, which when people are frustrated, when trainers are frustrated with a dog, we are also seeing lots of challenges around people resorting to heavy-handedness, which we do not stand for in any way. But again, I'm not giving them an excuse of social media made them do it. But it's like social media is putting all this pressure on you for the dog to be perfect, because the story in certain places is perfect dog rather than dog learning. So then they have that pressure and then they go away and they get so frustrated that they then go the completely opposite way and start taking it out on the dog.
Yeah, 100%. You've always got to think, what is the dog learning in any given situation? Now, the most common areas of training a gun dog that I see frustration handler frustration being taken out on the dog is stop whistle, heel work, and delivery of the dummy. They're the three biggest areas where I see owner frustration, creating the owner to overcorrect the dog, to maybe be far harsher with the dog than is entirely necessary, because we don't need to be harsh at all. And I see that creating a lot of conflict and frustration for the dog. Put those two things together, you've got a bit of a mess. You've got an absolute mess. I hear this a lot of handlers going to trainers with their dog and the owner not getting it. So the trainer does it and the trainer more heavily handedly corrects the dog than the handler is confident with. That knocks the handler's confidence, or the handler hasn't got the bravery to speak out and say, I don't want you to do that to my dog. Or the trainer is trying to convince the handler that's how they need to treat the dog to get the same result. That's just rubbish. That's just rubbish. It's not true.
I think if you've got a trainer saying the only option you've got to get this dog to do X, Y, and Z is to beat the living crap out of it, they shouldn't be training. They shouldn't have dogs, because they A, don't understand enough about it themselves to own their own dogs, but B, they certainly shouldn't be charging people to pass on the same nonsense.
Absolutely. I think so. I think, didn't we talk about the stop whistle one on a podcast quite recently? And people get out after your dog, get hold of it, and it's like, how is that learning for the dog? It's not. You're just intimidating the dog. into doing something, which can create further problems with the dog's training. The delivery of the dummy is a massive one for me. For me, delivery of the dummy, there needs to be a lot of trust involved in that. The dog has got to feel comfortable coming into your space. The dog has got to feel comfortable around your hands. Your hands should be giving the dog love and affection and welcoming the dog. The minute you start using your hands to punish a dog, especially in areas like that, you're going to create conflict in the dog. The dog's got that dummy, they want to give it to you, but the last time I got that close to you, I dropped the dummy and you did X, Y, and Z to me, which was very unpleasant and I didn't like it. So you can create then conflict in the dog where the dog actually might behave worse or develop another unwanted behavior as a result of that kind of feeling that the dog is getting. Remember, dogs can have a one-time learning event. They can have something happen to them that one time, and that then hangs around with the dog. And that has to be considered. And so for me, I go through teaching hand touch. I go through teaching the dog through retrieving aids, that to get the reward, you give me the thing. I go through stroking the dog, making the dog feel super comfortable. And I just don't understand how people can think that a heavy-handed approach with hands around a dog's head and face when you're working on delivery is going to give a positive association to that. It's just not.
I always find it hard when, and it ties into this, is when I first started, before the LWDG is what it is today, I was a member of lots of different groups on Facebook. Gun dogs for this, gun dogs for that, gun dogs for going up a tree, whatever. Loads of them, right? And I just got, we've covered unrealistic comparisons, so that annoyed me. But it was like negative comments and negative criticism where people are like, don't do it like that, do it like this. And that ties into this. We're like, people are telling people, oh, don't put up with that, give them a clip or do whatever. And a lot of the groups I've had to leave. I'm like, why are you spreading such bad information on how to handle a dog? Like, everything I see is pretty much like, you get, don't get me wrong, you get loads and loads of really good advice. But a load of good advice is lost by the dramatic comment of do this, do that, which always harsh handling ways. And I think, why would you think that putting fear into the dog, like you've just explained, fear around the head, fear of this or that, how is that going to help them other than the dog becoming fearful of them?
Well, it's not. That's the whole point. So all you're going to get is displacement behaviours, unwanted behaviours, things that your dog's going to do to avoid that thing happening again. But from the dog's perspective, the closer they get to you, the more of a fear that thing's going to happen if they make a mistake. Now, remember, for a dog to really learn, we know that we have to reward a behaviour very quickly after it happens, within a couple of seconds, for the dog to connect those two things together before they do something else, and then it could be connected to that. The same with punishment. And that's why when people say get after your dog when they've not stopped on the stop whistle, what I've seen happen, I've had to say to handlers so many times, no, I don't know who taught you that, but don't do that anymore, and this is why. Because if you think about it, they go running down after the dog because the dog's not stopped. They run down after the dog, and while they're running down there, they're blowing the stop whistle like a banshee. But then before they get to the dog, they say come, or whatever else. They might say another thing, or sit. The dog does that thing and then gets told off. How on earth does the dog understand in that circumstance that they should have stopped on the whistle? I just did a thing that you just asked me to do and you've just told me off. I don't understand. So the amount of conflict and confusion that has for the dog, the timing is off, and also they've connected the correction with the wrong thing. So it just doesn't make sense. If people just thought logically, it's not rocket science, is it?
I do think the gun dog world is one of the most, maybe I'm wrong, but I think as far as I'm aware, one of the most conflicting sports or dog training in its whole. The advice is so wild and random. It goes from one extreme to another. 1 minute it's beat it on the head, the next minute it's like throw a chicken at it. And I'm just like, How are people meant to find their way through this? Because like we give structures and we give route ways. So you're a foundation, you're a novice, you're an intermediate, you're an advanced. You've got a pathway to follow. But for most who don't have that access, they must spend a lot of time thinking, should I do that? Shouldn't I do that? And that's a big bugbear for me as well, is the confusion we're causing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, that's exactly it. And I think so many gun dog, you're right, in the gun dog training world, I think it's a lot worse than in a lot of other dog sports. Like when I look at other dog sports, even if you look at protection dog training and things like that, they spend so much time building drive and desire in the dog and rewarding things and making that space so exciting for the dog. But in the gun dog training world, a lot of it gets really squashed. Look, in a lot of other dog sports, heel work is like really stylish, really flashy. The dog looks like it's having the best time. In gun dog training, heel work for a lot of the dogs is like really boring, really dull. And they just want what comes after the hill work, the fun bit, the retrieve, the get to run out and do the job. So it's no wonder the hill work is boring. And I'm like, why can't we make hill work more fun for our gun dogs? Why can't we make this rewarding for the dog? Because if you think about it, the heel position, especially for retrievers, but for other gun dog breeds too, but especially for retrievers, the heel position is a pinnacle position for a lot of things. It's a position for setting off on a retrieve. It's a position for steadiness. It's a position for walking to heel. Some people might heavily handed overcorrect the dog for steadiness and for other things in the heel position. And that's just damaging the dog's feeling about the heel position. So it's like, hang on a minute, what is the dog learning? Let's think outside the box here, because if your dog's in the heel position, sitting nice and tight to your leg, and you're shouting at them for something else and being really aggressive to them, the dog's like, I don't really like this heel position very much. I'd rather not be here. No wonder they want to bog off.
I think we have ranted enough for this week's podcast. Tomorrow we are starting our first ever LWDG weekender. It is going to be absolutely fantastic. For those of you who've got tickets, we are so looking forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. For those of you who have virtual tickets, we're looking forward to seeing you for the first training session. You are able to join in for training sessions, but not for the social stuff, obviously, because you're not there with us. But we look forward to seeing all of you for that event. Claire, is there any final bugbears we want to end on, or do you think me and you have vented enough?
No more bugbears, but I just want to say, enjoy your dog, have fun with your dog, enjoy your relationship with your dog. Of course, have goals, of course, have achievements you want, but don't let anybody else dampen your spirit or make you feel like you're not good enough, because you absolutely are.
I fully agree with you on that one, Claire. You're absolutely right. And you've got to come into dog training, I think, with a bit of humour and a bit of heart, because with both, you'll get through. Without them, you're not going to have much fun, are you?
No, it's so true.
Brilliant. So again, everybody, thank you for listening. Please review us. Please let us know what you think. Send us emails. It's joanne@ladiesworkingdoggroup.com. Let us know what you want us to talk about. We are 2.5 years into this now, I think, roughly. So we've covered loads and loads of topics. And if there's anything that you want us to recover, do again, or cover from a different angle, just let us know, and we'll be more than happy to do that for you. We hope you have a fantastic week. We hope the weather's better for everyone across the UK and across the world. And we hope to speak to you all next week. That's it for today's episode. A massive thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to head over to the LWDG and sign up for our membership. Get access to expert-led training, a wonderfully supportive community, and the resources you need to become a confident and skilled gun dog trainer. Let's take this journey together, because no woman should have to train her gun dog alone. We'll see you all next week.